The queen who birthed a monster, the horror of royal inbreeding. In the candlelit corridors of Europe's most powerful palaces, where silk curtains whispered secrets and crowns weighed heavier than conscience, a tragedy was quietly unfolding, generation by generation. This is not a story of dragons or curses cast by witches. This is a story of blood. Of obsession with purity. Of a queen who gave birth not to a savior of an empire, but to the living proof of its decay. Her name was Mariana of Austria, and her son would become known as one of the most tragic monarchs in European history, Charles II of Spain. But to understand how a queen could give birth to what many at the time cruelly called a monster, we must first understand the royal disease that infected Europe's thrones. The royal obsession with bloodlines. For centuries, Europe's ruling families believed power flowed through blood. Not just any blood, royal blood, believed to be divinely favored, superior, and sacred. To preserve it, kings and queens married not strangers, but cousins. Nieces married uncles. First cousins became husbands and wives. No dynasty embraced this obsession more fanatically than the House of Habsburg. Their motto was simple, chilling, and revealing. Let others wage war, you, happy Austria, marry. Marriage was their weapon. And inbreeding was the cost. A family folding in on itself. By the 1600s, the Habsburg family tree no longer branched, it folded inward. Genetic diversity vanished. Physical deformities multiplied. Weak immune systems became common. Mental illness whispered through royal nurseries. The most famous sign of this degeneration was the Habsburg jaw, an elongated lower jaw so pronounced it distorted speech, chewing, and appearance. What began as a mild trait became grotesque with each generation. And yet, they continued. Mariana of Austria, a wife chosen by blood. Mariana of Austria was born into this closed loop. She was not just royalty, she was Habsburg royalty through and through. When the Spanish king sought a bride, the choice was not based on love or compatibility. It was based on lineage. Mariana married her own uncle, King Philip IV of Spain. At the time, this was not considered shocking. It was considered correct. But biology does not care about crowns. A pregnancy watched by an empire. When Mariana became pregnant, the Spanish court celebrated. Bells rang. Priests prayed. The empire desperately needed a male heir to secure its future. But even during pregnancy, rumors circulated. The queen was often ill. The court physicians worried. Some whispered that too much shared blood had weakened the child before birth. Still, hope remained. Until the day Charles was born. The birth that froze the palace. In 1661, Charles II entered the world, and silence followed. The child was alive, but barely. His head was abnormally large. His jaw severely deformed. His tongue so swollen that he struggled to breathe. He could not suckle properly. Wet nurses failed one after another. Some courtiers crossed themselves in fear. Others whispered the unthinkable. God has punished us. A child who could not be a child. Charles did not grow like other children. He did not walk until the age of 4. He did not speak clearly until much later. He suffered constant seizures. His immune system was so weak that minor illnesses nearly killed him. At times, he could barely chew his food. His jaw protruded so far that his mouth never fully closed. Physicians bled him. Exorcists prayed over him. Alchemists were consulted. Nothing helped. To the public, he was the king. To the court, he was a problem. The cruel name, El Hechizado. The people of Spain gave Charles a name that revealed their fear. El Hechizado, the bewitched one. They believed no natural explanation could justify his condition. Witchcraft was blamed. Curses were suspected. Some even accused Mariana herself of dark sins. But the truth was far simpler, and far more horrifying. Charles was not cursed. He was engineered. The mathematics of inbreeding. Modern science would later reveal the horror in numbers. Charles' II's inbreeding coefficient, a measure of genetic similarity, was higher than that of a child born to a brother and sister. 8 generations of intermarriage had collapsed his genetic code. Recessive disorders once safely hidden now screamed into existence. He was not a freak of nature. He was the inevitable outcome of royal arrogance. A queen's guilt. Mariana of Austria lived with unbearable guilt. She loved her son fiercely. She protected him from ridicule. She ruled as regent in his name for years, shielding him from political predators. But she could not escape the truth. She had been raised to believe blood purity was sacred. And that belief had destroyed her child. A king who could not rule. When Charles officially took the throne, Spain was already decaying. The king could barely concentrate. He was easily manipulated. Advisors ruled in his name. Foreign powers circled like vultures. He married twice, but produced no heirs. Autopsies after his death would reveal devastating realities. Underdeveloped organs. Severe intestinal deformities. Almost non-existent reproductive capability. The Habsburg line in Spain ended not with a battle, but with a broken body. Death and the end of a dynasty. Charles II died in 1700 at the age of 38, ancient by the standards of his suffering body. His death triggered the War of the Spanish Succession, plunging Europe into chaos. The empire his ancestors built through war and marriage collapsed under the weight of its own blood. The real monster. History often asks the wrong question. Was Charles II the monster? Or was the monster the system that demanded queens marry their uncles? That treated children as political tools? That valued bloodlines over human life? Mariana of Austria did not give birth to a monster. She gave birth to the truth. A truth Europe tried to hide behind gold crowns and velvet robes. And it nearly destroyed an entire continent. A warning written in flesh. Today, royal families have abandoned such practices. Science has spoken. Genetics has exposed the lie. But the story remains, a warning etched into history. When power values purity over humanity. When tradition silences reason. When blood becomes more important than life. The crown itself becomes the curse.